welcome to another episode of Beer for Breakfast ABV. I am Danielle from The Moog Show on 91X. Paul is in Hawaii. Yeah, you know, it's kind of annoying. But because Paul's not here, I get to have Dave Adams from Green Flash in with me today.
Oh, hey!
Hey! Welcome back, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
So we like to call you around here the Stunt Paul.
Stunt Paul.
Stunt Paul.
Hey!
And today we are featuring SouthNorte. So we have Ryan Brooks, brewmaster of SouthNorte. We also have Melody, VP of Marketing. Welcome back, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Last time you were here, SouthNorte had kind of just really started. And what's been going on?
A lot of different things.
All the stuff, all the things. I feel like it's, you know, as I follow you on social media, you guys are constantly, you know, back and forth over the border, lots of collaborations going on. Super, super cool. You know, I even want to say when you guys were here last time, we only had the Señor, the
No Way IPA,
and this one was about to come out.
Yeah.
It hadn't come out yet.
All right.
So this is exciting because we got a whole array of beers now. So we're starting out. We threw a little pre-funk with the SouthNorte IPA. I like how inventive you got with the name, guys.
We're working on that.
It's an IPA. 7%. Really, really great beer.
A lot of tropical notes. We're using Mosaic and Simcoe and a little bit of a Neo-Mexicanus variety, which throws off kind of a really dark kind of stone fruit and earthy and maybe even a little bit of a pungent dankiness to it.
Yeah, definitely. I think that that particular hop is kind of those funky tropical notes. I think we were talking about that, like papaya. I chopped up a mango over the weekend that had a little funk, tropical kind of sweet fruit note to it.
Overripe in a good way.
Yeah, right. No, it's really yummy. Smell is
so yummy that I drank the entire thing. I couldn't help it.
I've already beat you.
Oh, all right. Then I don't feel so bad. So before I pour our next beer, can you guys, you know, just kind of give me a rundown of how the last year and a half has been going since you were here last? Like, there's a lot going on.
A lot of things going on. We're doing a lot of brewing, like you said, down in TJ, doing a lot of cross-border stuff. Even when I get a chance to judge in different parts of Mexico, like Guadalajara, Monterrey, Mexico City, doing a lot of those collaborations when I get a chance to get down there to judge. So I'll try to brew with someone that I know locally down there, which is a great opportunity and fun, and always learning something new when I go down there.
Yeah, SouthNorte is really built around the crossroads of cultures, and so bridging the best of both sides of the border. So what's going on in Mexico, what's going on here in San Diego, and I think Ryan's done a great job of helping to kind of bridge the scenes here in San Diego and Tijuana specifically. We just had a lot of fun, like Ryan said, judging down there, making friends down there, and brewing great beer.
Are you still brewing out of the Coronado facility, or where are you guys?
The cans and bottles get produced at Coronado's production facility. I have the great opportunity to be able to go down to the pub and do kind of one-offs and the trial batches for some of the future beers down at the island. So it's been really great, as well as going down to Mexico and doing some stuff down in TJ.
Very cool.
Yeah, still brewing out of Telefonica right now, so that's been awesome. So if you make it down to TJ, definitely swing by. We're brewing there, beers on tap. So.
How cool! I love the cross-border, you know, it's just one big happy family.
You gotta hang out.
Yeah.
So awesome. So this beer, the Señor. This was the first beer that I ever had from SouthNorte when you guys were on Beer for Breakfast, and this continues to be a beer that I get when I'm out there. Like, shout out Beerfish, because they use Señor for their michelada, and oh my gosh, so good.
Yeah, that's probably my at least once every 2 weeks lunchtime spot. Go there, crush cold beers, great pricing, great tacos, great people.
So coming in at 4.5%, this is just really light drinking beer with a ton of flavor behind it.
Yeah, super bright, refreshing. Got a little cool malt character in there that comes through, but dry and clean and effervescent, and you know, just nice summer
daily
light lager.
Effervescent. Ooh, I'm gonna start using that word.
Please do.
I like it.
Yes. In place of carbonation, everyone should use it. Effervescent, everyone.
The more you know.
Touch of corn too. You kind of get that in the finish.
I I want to say initially when you guys came on and we had the Señor, there were not a lot of quote unquote Mexican lagers being made. And, I don't want to say that you guys set a trend, but I'm seeing more and more Mexican lagers come out now. And, as you guys see the trends that go on in beer, specifically in San Diego, what do you think is attributing to that Mexican lager coming to the forefront?
Definitely lower alcohol is great. The drinkability, if you can have 3 or 4 of them, no problem. Refreshing, crisp, dry, but also, I think a lot of us grew up here in San Diego drinking those beers, and those are the macro beers. It's really not cool to drink the macros. You got to keep it local. So why not take the macro flavor into a local artisanal craft lager?
Yeah, then there's plenty of excitement around the macro beers Ryan alluded to. Getting a tall can of Modelo is super popular now in the last few years especially. So I agree. I mean, whenever I could get a craft version of something that, maybe is a daily drinker, a session beer, always try to support the local brands whenever possible. So.
Yeah, I think that imports have been the fastest growing beer segment, and so I think as craft kind of settles a little bit, people are trying to see where the opportunity lies, and so I think having the opportunity to brew a version of those styles that's local and it tastes fresh and it's brewed by people that you know and love, it's just a win-win.
I think that it's also it's not intimidating.
True.
If you have somebody trying to get into craft beer and they're like, oh, it's all about those IPAs, or it's I don't like the hops. I don't like the hoppiness.
It's a rough life if you live in San Diego.
Right. Well, and so actually, I have a little bit of a gripe with San Diego and beer right now, because when I got here, I wasn't a beer fan, and everything was so IPA. That's all there really was, and so I had to really train my palate to enjoy IPAs, and now here we are 7 years later, and it's kind of turned around now. There's a whole lot more lagers, and that just solid West Coast IPA is harder and harder to find, it seems.
Well, I think a lot of that is stuff that are based on your interactions with bartenders and tasting room employees at breweries and whatnot, because if you go in there with an open mind and you go to a brewery that has a well-trained staff and say, I'm not really a craft beer person, I mostly like this beer, you shouldn't be ashamed. Just say, you enjoy drinking Corona or Modelo or whatever, it's fine. And then it would be our job to say, hey, cool, we have this great beer for you that's light and refreshing and will be right up your alley, or maybe it's a little more flavorful, or it differs in this way. And that's, you shouldn't be intimidated as a person who likes beer and going into your first craft brewery. Just tell us what you're looking for and we got your back.
Yeah, and if you go into the ones that, you don't feel that way, the beauty of this community is you will find one not far away that does care about educating you on the beer and what you're drinking and what you might enjoy.
Totally. If you go to a brewery or a tasting room that's giving you a hard time about not liking, a double IPA with 1 billion IBUs, then just move along and find a place where people are willing to be your beer Sherpas.
And those ones are certainly out there too, even as someone who, is a little bit educated in the field of beer, not nearly as much as the three of you. I even get that sometimes, and I'm just kind of you can be cool, man.
You like what you like. There's nothing wrong with that.
Totally, and I think it's really important to know that the beer industry it was built on inclusivity, and that's why we all like it. I mean, Ryan and I and Mel have been doing this for a long time, and that was always what was exciting to me about the industry, was not the exclusivity, not the VIP tastings or the 5 bottles in a bottle release or anything. It was just that you could be anybody in any level of beer knowledge, and people are cool and they're nice and welcoming and
open-minded.
That was
cheers to
what
that,
it was.
the inclusivity of craft beer. And as we're talking about inclusivity, this is your guys' collaboration that you did with Border Psycho.
Yeah.
Segue.
Say, do you like that? See,
it's not her first
I'm
time.
a professional.
This time.
So this is a really fun one. This is kind of like a 3-way kind of idea. This started out as a beer we made for the National Honey Summit. National Honey Board came to town, and they were generous enough to donate some honey to make a beer with. So we got about 60 pounds of a Mexican avocado honey. We included a little bit of what we have locally as an orange blossom honey, And then we got my friend who owns the homebrew shop in TJ. It's called the Hornbrew. And TJ,
awesome.
he brought some Mexican wild honey. So all three combined, definitely more in the avocado honey. And we made an IPA with Azaka and a little bit of Centennial, so you get some stone fruit and some nice citrus notes. But the honey really dries it out. Not a ton of honey aroma, but a really nice kind of honey flavored touch in the end, and really makes it just dry and kicks the ABV up a little bit.
So right, and a lot of the honey is super fermentable, so that's where you end up
almost
with that, where a lot of people look at beers and say that they have honey in them, and they expect this sweet, cloying honey type beer, but in actuality, a lot of it gets fermented out.
Exactly.
Could inquiring minds, avocado honey. Tell us all about avocado
so
honey.
The best thing about bees is they're super hard workers, and they will go 5 miles away from their hive.
Wow.
But if you keep them with a lot of honey and nectar, I mean not honey, but nectar and flowers close to their home, they don't need to go that far. So you can put the hives right there in an avocado grove. They'll just hang out, pollinate, get all their necessities, and come right back to the hive. So you can put these in the grove and get, we had chestnut honey, we've had, wildflower, they had.
And can you
different
taste
fruits.
the difference,
Right.
like in the honey?
It's crazy. You can taste the difference, but it does not taste like the flower they're pollinating or getting their nectar from.
Wow.
Interesting.
So there's you don't taste avocados in this. You don't taste like chestnut. That was the most disgusting honey I've ever had. It was terrible.
Sorry,
But stuff
chestnuts.
like mesquite and different other fruits. It's great.
And I think that's funny because I'm assuming, I guess, that the honeys that are being made from a particular fruit or flower, that's the characteristic
Not at
that's
all.
Yeah.
coming
Not
into
at
there,
all.
but it's
Yeah.
really just that's what they're taking
The
back
best
to
honey we got to try was a radish honey.
Ooh, neat.
Craziest thing. It tasted like cream soda. So
So does it
Whoa,
just like
cool.
turn into like kind of like a mad scientist experiment
Totally.
as you're tasting the different
Totally.
honeys and what they could like come? Oh wow.
yeah. So we brought Motorcycle in, and they're our good friends from I've known them guys for over 10 years, and they're one of like the old school staple craft breweries in TJ's. So
Okay.
brought my buddies over and made a honey IPA.
Yeah, it's a really cool beer, and it has like a little. What's attributed to that little sweetness on the back end that?
I
comes
would
through?
guess that would be the honey because it finished out at like 1.6 Plato. It's
Wow.
nice and dry.
Super dry, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That means the finishing gravity in the beer,
Sugars are
finishing
very low.
fermentable sugars that are left.
See, that's why I need to have you here. Otherwise, I'm just like,
I got your back.
yeah.
Translator.
The Play-Dohs.
All the
all
Play-Dohs. Those things like my kids play with.
Well, it's also measured in gravity, but because Play-Dohs are just easy round numbers, oftentimes we use Play-Dohs. Much easier to use than saying 1.0578.
Professor
Yeah.
Dave, I appreciate that.
Got your
I
back.
don't know why homebrewers don't get into the Play-Doh deal. It's so much easier.
Couldn't agree more.
The more you know. Well, what else is going on with SouthNorte? What do we have to look forward to? What?
I want to have Mel talk about the best thing we've got going on the past few weeks is the collaboration with the Museum of Art.
Yeah, so
Ooh.
we have a really great collaboration going on right now with the San Diego Museum of Art. They have a new exhibit that just launched, and it's all about art from Spain and the golden age of Spain, and kind of how that art went up through Mexico and Latin America. And for us, being the crossroads of cultures, it was a really good fit. So we had this really cool conversation with them, and we decided to be inspired by a piece of art in the exhibit. And from there, we kind of collaborated on the beer recipe. So we wound up being really inspired by a piece of art that was a still life that featured cantaloupe and cucumbers and quince. So the recipe kind of wrote itself from there.
Natura morta.
Yeah, so it's super cool. So Brooks went down to TJ with the Museum of Art. We took him to Hidalgo Market. We sampled a bunch of fruit and spices and wound up settling on a kettle sour with those ingredients. And that will get debuted at the Coronado Tasting Room for kind of an insider museum party. And then you can go to the Cocktails and Culture event on July 25th. Ryan will be there serving the beer and kind of debuting it to the public, and then you can go check out the exhibit and see the art that inspired the beer. So
How
really excited for that.
cool.
So a lot of cantaloupe, a lot of pepino cucumber juice, and a little bit of the quince. Quince fruit's very different and weird. I've never seen a quince in my life. So it's unique because I've always had it as membrillo in Mexico on cheese plates.
And they cook it down.
Yeah, I'm so intrigued by this beer because you're talking about flavors that aren't super strong.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
You know what I
took
mean?
a lot of-
So I'm
Very
so
delicate.
curious
took a lot
as
of
to
a lot of cantaloupe to get the flavor to come through.
Yeah, especially those water-based fruits and veggies, right? You're just like, I mean,
Not a lot there.
watermelon and stuff.
Not a
Yeah,
lot
you're just
there.
cranking to try to get that stuff in
Like
there.
a super clean kettle sour with like a nice touch of acidity, but it finishes really dry and easy drinking. And then the fruit on top will be a really good
Cool
addition.
cucumber note.
Yeah.
So
Perfect
awesome.
for summer.
And that event is really cool. And if you guys haven't been, you should do that. And if you're afraid of art, this is a great time. Go drink a beer and check out art.
Casual
Really,
scene.
really neat stuff going on.
I mean,
there.
I was at the museum over the weekend, and I was like, you know,
Nice.
I was like, the thing that's missing is a beer in my hand right now. Like,
Panama 66.
there are so many times in life now that I'm like, this would be so much better with a beer in my hand.
And how cool that like the whole community is understanding that. Like the museum approached us and they're like, we want to integrate craft beer because that's what this city is about. So
That's
it's definitely
super rad.
the word is getting out.
Very cool. Well, Melody, Ryan, thank you so much. What is
Cheers.
the best way to keep up with SouthNorte and everything going on?
I'd say,
Instagram.
Yep, Instagram for sure. We update that on the rig, and our email. So if you go to southnorte.com and you scroll down to the bottom, you can sign up for our monthly email.
And where can we find SouthNorte?
I like to go to my local Trader Joe's. Good rotating bit of business through the Señor, Agavemente, your better liquor stores in town, as well as some Ralph's, Albertsons, those big chains. So
You guys, that's so
search
exciting.
it, you'll find it.
Yeah.
That is
This
so
guy's crushing it.
exciting. Dude, you're killing it, Ryan.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank
the
you
time
so
here.
much for coming on. Dave, thanks for hanging out.
Thanks for having me.
It's always appreciated. You want to come back in a couple weeks and talk about Green Flash?
I accept.
Okay, cool. Awesome. You know, Sun Fiesta's coming up. So
Heyo.
we're looking forward to it. Thank you. And remember, every Friday we do have beer for breakfast on 91X around 9:05. And Paul better be back from Hawaii by that
We miss
point.
Paul.
Otherwise, it's just going to be Moog and I drinking beer on the radio, which doesn't sound that bad either. So thank you, and cheers to independent craft beer.
Cheers.
Cheers.
91X.